Okay, so we're going to lay these fence blocks out without using CAD. I'm going to show how to use just a calculator and a simple formula for figuring triangle sides. So constants that we need to remember is that on a right triangle, the tangent of an angle is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So tangent of x is equal to a over, or 0, or O over a. We can simplify that in another manner because we're going to know a, so we're going to be figuring O. So O is equal to the tangent of x times a. And if we multiply both sides of this equation by a, this is what we get. Now another constant we need to remember is on fence blocks. The fence block system is built in a way that the center of this hole to the edge is 1/2 inch, as well as the center of the hole to this edge is 1/2 inch. So that'll help us with measurements using the grid system, a 2x2 grid system, and we won't need a tape measure. So to start, what we'll do is lay out our first piece. I'm going to put it, since it's an even number, I'm going to put it on a parallel here, and I'm going to give a stop right here. Now, we can't use this particular stop as a guide for welding because we can't guarantee that our corner is correct, or the corner of our cut is correct. But we are going to use it as a reference point. But for example, we're going to lay out our fence blocks this way. I've got the two down at the bottom for parallel, and I'm going to go ahead and make this reference point right here. What that'll give us is a 0 point for measuring our other points on our grid. So our first part is this one here. So if I lay it kind of out here with my cuts, I know I'm going to probably want a fence block here. I'm going to want another one down here to give this a parallel line or a straight line to reference this edge. I'm also going to put another one here and then say right here. So we'll remember those points. So let's start with our first one. We know that this edge of this part is a 1/2 inch above this line. And we also know that our 0 point, this point on our triangle, is a 1/2 inch over from the center of these holes. So we need a triangle that we can figure. Using the same one, we're going to draw a line straight up and straight out from our fence block. And that's a 90-degree angle. And we're looking for A and O. Now we know A because we can use our grid to find it. For example, if we're going to put our fence block in this area right here, we know that from this line, we're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 inches up, but we're a 1/2 inch this way, and also we need to subtract another 1/2 inch from this hole to the edge of our bottom piece. So 12 minus half is going to be 11. So A is equal to 11. We also know that this forms a 90-degree angle, So 90 minus the 79, our angle then is 11, coincidentally. So let's do our first formula. We're going to do the tangent of 11 times 11, and that will give us O. So 11 degrees, the tangent, oops, we're going to go to the tangent of 11 degrees is equal to 0.194. We're going to multiply that times A. So that equals 2.138 is equal to O. So now all we have to do is measure from our center of our hole, 2 inches over, plus another 138. Now, we know that this hole from here to here is 2 inches, but remember, we've got a 1/2 inch here. So if we're measuring from here, we need to add a 1/2 inch, because we know that from here to here is the 138. But we have the center of the hole over this way, 1/2 inch. So we're going to add 0.5. And that gives us 638. So from the center of this hole to our end point is 638. Well, we can go 2 plus, we know the edge of our fence block is 1/2 inch, so we can get 2.5 from our fence block. If we subtract that, we're going to end up with 138. So we're going to set our fence block. Well, we can get another 8 out of this. So minus 125 gives us 0.013. Right? 138 minus 0.125, 0.13. So we set our fence block to 2 1/8, or 2.5, and then another 8, which would be 5/8. So I'm going to set it at 5/8, and then I need 0.13. So 0.13 for our shim. So there's our first block. Now let's put this block in. We know we've got another triangle right here. So now that's our A, and this is our O. So A, if we move this up here to 4 inches, right? So we're going to be at 4 inches, 2, 4, but we subtract a 1/2 to get to this line, and then we subtract a 1/2 to get to this line. So our 4 now becomes 3. So A is equal to 3. Same formula. The tangent of our angle, 11 degrees, times A, which is 3, is equal to O. Tangent of 11 degrees times 3. So O is equal to 0.583. So we need to come from the center of this hole over 1/2 inch plus another 83 thousandths. Half an inch plus another 583. We're going to add the 1/2 inch for our fence block. Gives us 1.083. From the center of our hole to the edge. We already have that 1/2 inch, so we just need the 583. So 1/2 inch and 83 thousandths. So now we have this edge done. There's our first one. Now for our next fence block. We put our piece in here. We might use this fence block. Can't really tell how close that's going to be, so let's use this as our reference hole right here. Put a block here, show which one we're doing. So we have a triangle now. We're going to end up here. So let's measure across here. There. There's a 90-degree angle. So this is going to be our A. This is going to be our O. Now, opposite angles of two parallel lines are going to be the same. So our angle here is 35 degrees. Because we know this is 90. 35 from 90 is 55. 55 from 90 is 35. So how far across to this hole? Over 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. But remember, we're 24 inches from this edge, so we got to add a 1/2 inch to get to here. Plus, we add a 1/2 inch to get to the edge of our fence block. So that gives us 19. So A is equal to 19. So now we just do our formula again. So the tangent of 35 degrees times A is equal to our O. So tangent 35 degrees times 19 O is equal to 13,304. So that's the distance from the bottom of our fence block down to the bottom of our first part. So O is equal to 13,304. So how do we find that location? Well, 13,304. So subtracted from whatever this number is would give us the right point. So let's see where this is. It is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 inches from the center of this hole to here, but our fence block has this up a ½ inch, so we're going to subtract ½ inch. So we got 16 minus 0.5 equals 15.5. So we need to know the distance between the center of this hole to the 13,304, which is where we want this edge to be. So we just take our 15.5 and subtract 13.304 equals 2.196. So we need to set our fence block to 2.196. Well, with these adjustable fence blocks, we can get to 2 1/8. So let's set our fence block at 2 1/8 from right here. So subtract 2.125, and that gives us 0.71 extra. So there's an 0.71 shim. That block is done. Our final block we'll put somewhere in this range right here. So we've got another triangle. Over to here, down to here. So there's our A, here's our O. And we're looking for O. First of all, what is A? Well, from this hole, remember our point right here is a ½ inch this way. So we're going to add a ½ inch. So we're going to 2, 4, 6 plus our ½ inch. That's 6.5. Plus the ½ inch to get to the edge of our fence block puts us at 7. So A is equal to 7. So here's our formula here. We're still 35 degrees. So tangent of 35 times A, or 7, is equal to our O. So tangent 35 times 7. So O is equal to 4.901. So same thing. We know this hole right here is 2, 4, 6 inches minus the ½. So the center of this hole is 5.5 from our edge. So we take the 5.5 and we're going to subtract the 4.901. 5.5 minus 4.901 gives us 0.599 from the center of this hole. Well, we know that if we use this pivot point, we've already got ½ inch. So subtract 0.5. So we have 99 thousandths left. And it won't fit. So 99 thousandths is what we need. So now that's the beauty of the fence block system, is now it shows me that my cut is off. I'm going to guess it's off by about 100 thou because it fits in there without the shim. So let me trim this off and we'll see how it fits in. So now we can fit in there, everything up against its shim. And shim's in here. And it fits. And that's the beauty of the Fireball fence block system, is it shows you where your cuts are wrong. This exposed the 100 thou difference, and I should have taken half off of this one and half off of this one. So you see I ended up a little wrong here. But all my outer planes are the exact angles, 79 degrees, 66 degrees, and 35 degrees. These are different just due to rounding. And that's how to measure angles without using CAD and just a calculator. And no tape measure.